Okay, looks good. So I think we're ready to start. So this is Black Friday University again. I'm Aubrey Catalco, and this is Ron Alderson. He works on our client success team. Today we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned, international sales, selling globally using multi-currency, and really having a global presence over Black Friday. If you're new to our series, here's how it works. You can control quality options in the bottom right corner of the screen using the little gear icon. And we definitely encourage you to ask questions using the chat panel on the right. So we'll do our best as we go through this webinar to be able to answer those questions kind of as they come up. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about why selling internationally is so important over Black Friday, as well as kind of the lifts and some stats that some stores saw over Black Friday last year. And then as well, we'll touch on setting up our multi-currency app, as I mentioned in the recap email, so that you can actually sell for free in multiple currencies on your store this Black Friday. That was a tough sentence. Anyways, so Ron's going to help us out with that. We're planning on going about half an hour or so today. Again, if the stream cuts out for any reason, you can always watch it on demand after the event is done. So, with that said, Ron, multiple currencies, selling globally, important?
Very important. When you're shopping online and you see one price and all of a sudden you get to the checkout and a bit of a sticker shock when you can see a price that's 10, 20, 30, 50% higher than what you're expecting to pay. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this hits home for us because we're in Canada, obviously, and a huge majority of the stores that are on Shopify are in the US. And a whole bunch of shoppers in the US will only buy from US stores, right? Because the shipping's quicker and stuff. In a whole bunch of different countries around the world, Canada included, normally we have to purchase from the US or from other stores just because we're smaller countries, right? And so it's kind of tough to emphasize with this if you only shop domestically, but this is a really big deal for anybody who's outside of the US mainland. So when we go to buy something on a store, if it's listed as $10 US, for example, my credit card is in Canadian currency. So when I purchase something, I have to try and figure out in my head what the conversion will be if I see it's 10 US dollars. Sometimes I'll go to another website to make that happen, a currency exchange website. The order still gets processed in US dollars though, and when I get my credit card statement back, I won't see 10 US dollars. What I see is whatever it is in my local currency. And on top of that, I get a 2.5%. It kind of ranges from 2.5% to almost 4%. Currency exchange fee that gets added on by the card network. So Visa charges me an extra fee to do this. And like you mentioned, like this is a big sticker shock for people. Yeah. They expect to be paying $10 or close to $10, and then they get their credit card statement a few weeks later, and it turns out there's this huge bill for them that they weren't expecting.
Well, you also raised a good point there. If someone's going off the site to somewhere else to find a currency exchange rate, you're missing out on that conversion too.
Yeah, for sure. I think the stat is something like 70 to 75% of shoppers who have to leave the site to convert a currency won't come back because they're opening a new tab and sometimes they get distracted or they see a local product somewhere on another website. And so you lose that opportunity for a sale for that 70 to 75% of people who have to leave. So being able to sell in multiple currencies and actually show the customer how much it's going to cost them when they see it on their credit card statement is super, super important. So a couple quick stats for you here. So Black Friday is based around the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday, and so you might not expect that Black Friday sales internationally are a big deal, particularly if you're not selling internationally yet. A lot of stores on Shopify just prefer to sell in their own country. But I'll give you some info from last Black Friday on Shopify. So compared to an average day, Canada saw a 4.4 times increase in the number of orders that were processed. So for a regular day is one order. The Black Friday holiday had 4.4 orders. That doesn't make a ton of sense, but so Canada saw a 4.4 times lift, Denmark 6.01 times lift, Spain 7.8 times lift compared to how many orders they normally see. This is all compared to the US, which sees around 3 to 3.5 times lift. So all these other countries have a huge lift. They're definitely taking advantage of Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. So it's really important, I think, that we pay attention to them as potential shoppers for us. There's this, pardon the pun, there's this whole world of opportunity out there. that we can take advantage of if we're selling in multiple currencies. So super, super important. A couple other interesting stats. In the United Kingdom, they did a survey, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. 86% of people who were surveyed in the United Kingdom who saw a price in a U.S. currency would just leave the site and try to find a local one. And I think this is a really common problem. I'm sure you've run into this too, Ron, and probably just about everybody in the office since we're in Canada. If we see a price in a U.S. currency, I'll try and find a Canadian price because I think that website is a local one and they'll ship to me faster and I won't have to deal with customs and duties and taxes. So it's a big deal to be able to see that in a local currency for me. What about you?
Yeah, certainly with the currency exchange rate as well, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the problem with the exchange rate is it fluctuates so much and so often that, it's difficult for me to remember from day to day what the actual price of that item is going to be in my local currency. So super, super important to be able to visualize that on the storefront. So a super, super cool new app that came out of our development team this year was our multi-currency app. There are a ton of currency converter apps on Shopify. The way they work usually, and we'll kind of go through a demo in a second, is they'll show a little currency picker at the top of the screen, top or the bottom, and you can choose your currency from that list, and then the currencies on the web page will update. So, for example, if I'm in Canada, I can pick the Canadian currency even on a US website, and the page will convert all the prices for me into whatever the Canadian amount is. So we have an awesome free app from Bold that does that for you. We'll kind of go through how to set that up. Another cool add-on, and this is exclusive on Shopify if I'm not wrong, is our integration with Cashier. So Cashier will, the limitation of these multi-currency apps as they stand right now is even though I'm seeing a different currency on the storefront, so again, if I see a $10 US dollar price and it converts it to 12 Canadian, when I go to the checkout, Shopify doesn't recognize that it needs to convert the currency basically. So I still see 10 US dollars in the checkout, and when it actually goes to hit my credit card, I'm still getting that crazy conversion rate on top of the bank fee that they charge me, the credit card conversion fee of 2.5% to 3%. So I might have made it all the way to the checkout and then gotten scared away by the fact that I'm still paying in US dollars and I don't really know how much it's going to be, or the amount that I saw in the storefront doesn't match what actually hits my credit card bill. So sometimes you can run into issues there. So we're going to talk as well about how to set up Cashier so that your customers can actually check out in the currency that they choose. So I'll just switch screens here and we'll kind of go through how to set this up on your store. If you have any questions about this process, like I said, leave them in the chat and we will be happy to answer them. If you're watching this on demand, you can also email our support team. Their address is support@boldcommerce.com, and you can reach out to them 24/7 and they will get back to you as soon as they can, and they'll help you get this set up on your store. So I will switch computers here. All right, so on the screen here, I have a demo store that we have set up, and this is our Cashier demo store, but we'll kind of show you how the multi-currency app works first of all, and then we'll go through how to actually set it up on your Shopify store. So Ron, why don't you tell me what I'm seeing here?
Okay, so up in the upper right corner, you can see the currency picker there. This is totally customizable as well on where you want to place it. For most themes, it fits pretty nicely up in the header near the card icon. But again, depending on what theme you have, it can pretty much go anywhere you want. When you click on it, just like a typical currency converter, currencies that you want to display pricing in. So we've got Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, euro, pounds, yen, Mexican pesos, New Zealand dollars, US dollars. Pretty much virtually any currency you want in the world, but 165 currencies or so. So you can add as many as you want. The 10 most common currencies traded in the world, that's pretty much enough for most stores. But again, it really depends on who your target market is. It could just be 2 or 3 currencies you want to add there. So it's completely up to you.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Ron, is that you can customize this completely to fit your store's customer base. So if you have a whole bunch, if you're based in New Zealand, for example, and you know that most of your sales are coming from East Asia or Australia, you can choose to list more currencies from those areas as opposed to trying to list just the top 10 in the world. If you know you're only selling to a certain region, you can just list that region's currencies. And that's kind of a cool benefit of this as well, is that it's really customizable to your store. So let's go through and kind of see how this works. So I have a couple example products here. This store's base currency is in US dollars, right?
US dollars, yeah.
Yeah. So you can see that as soon as I load the page, I have the Canadian dollar picked, and I can see that the currency is automatically converted. So the rate is, I think, $1.28 Canadian to 1 US, something around there. And that's automatically converted on the page.
And the one thing, like Aubrey said here, is that the store is based in US dollars. A feature of the currency converter, the multi-currency app, is it has geolocation. So wherever your customers are visiting the site from, it will automatically select that currency for them. So with us being in Canada, it's automatically set it to Canadian dollars. If I was in Spain or Germany, anywhere in the Eurozone, it would automatically default to euros. If I was in Australia, it would automatically default to Australian dollars.
Yeah, it's a super flexible app, and the best part is it makes it really easy for customers to convert. So I mean, we can add all these international features on our site, but I can tell you, even as someone who lives outside of the United States, a whole bunch of websites will have these currency converters, but I have to go manually seek them out. Like I have to choose specifically that I'm in Canada and that I want to convert to Canadian dollars. So the great part about the multi-currency app that we have is that it geolocates that customer, it knows where they are, and it will switch to their currency automatically.
And that's a feature that's already included in the free app. Other currency apps, they may charge a premium to get that geolocation feature.
Yeah, for sure. So like we said, it shows in the Canadian currency. If I switch this currency on the page, you'll see it just switches automatically. So it's converted that 10 US dollars into £7.66. I can do that for any currency in the list here. And it does that everywhere on the store. So you'll see if I add it to the cart here, on the cart page, it's automatically converted for me. If I go back to this catalog page, which lists all the products on the store, I can see that all these prices, those are some pretty good looking bold socks there. All these prices are automatically in British pounds. So it will convert those prices anywhere on your website, not just on the product page. So customers really get a feel that they're shopping from a local presence. So if my store didn't have Cashier installed, when I went to go check out here, what I would see is that I would go to the Shopify checkout, and even though I'm shopping in Great British Pounds, the checkout would list the currency as US dollars. And so when that charge actually went and hit my credit card, I would wind up being charged in US dollars, and again, I would get hit with that currency conversion fee. The bank rate, which is not a preferred conversion rate, it's usually a little higher. They have it padded to fit into their preferences. And it's not really an ideal situation. So we'll show you how this looks with Cashier. So you can see I've checked out here. Internet's a little slow at the office today. And I'm actually checking out in British pounds. I have all these amounts in pounds, and when the customer actually goes and pays for this with their credit card statement will show that it's been charged in British pounds. So if they are actually located in the UK, they get to pay for this in British pounds. They don't have to pay all those conversion fees. So I won't show you an actual checkout here. This works very much like the Shopify checkout. Customer enters in their shipping address, their billing address, shipping and payment method, and then they have the amount charged in their local currency. Anything to add to this, Ron, that I haven't already mentioned?
Yeah, so the customer is, in this example, that customer would be paying in pounds, so right through the shop, very seamless. They see exactly what they're paying. They get to the checkout, they're still paying in pounds. Again, the store is based in US dollars, so as the merchant, they would actually get paid out in US dollars.
Yeah, it's so again, it kind of depends on which payment gateways you have set up. You can choose to have it's super flexible if you're using it with cashier. So for example, if I have as a merchant a bank account that doesn't accept Japanese yen, or it converts at kind of a rate that isn't super favorable, I can choose to just display that currency on the storefront, so the customer will still see Japanese yen, but it will wind up actually checking them out in whatever local currency I have. So, in US dollars, for example. So you can choose to just display those currencies on the storefront. You can choose to accept them and pass them right through to your payment gateway, and then you deal with the conversion whenever you want. Or they can also convert. So instead of the customer's credit card doing the conversion, your payment gateway does the conversion, and so the customer still pays in that amount, but your deposit comes through in the currency of your choice. So we have a question here from Jason. Thanks for the question. His question is, I currently use Recharge for my recurring billing. I recently installed this app and it doesn't reflect the conversion to the Recharge app. Does it show up on the Bold Recurring app? Ron, did you want to field that one?
So no, it won't. It won't. The currency won't show in the Recharge. The currency would show through Cashier, and integrating our recurring orders app with Cashier is something that's in development. We're still a few months away from that.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Jason, so the way this would work is recurring orders integrates, or will integrate, I should say, with Cashier. We're looking at probably 2 or 3 months away. Timeline's a little fuzzy, but recurring orders will integrate with Bold Cashier. And so since multi-currency integrates with Cashier, all those prices that recurring orders passes through to the cashier checkout will be converted into the currency of the customer's choice. So that's the answer. So at the moment, it won't convert prices for Recharge. Maybe a couple months down the road, we'll definitely look at integrating them. We always want to add integrations as much as we can to Cashier and kind of make it play as nicely with as many different apps as we can. But to answer your question, not at the moment, on the roadmap for sure. Thanks for the question, though. So we've showed you how this looks to a customer. So now we'll go through how to actually set it up on your store. So I will... what are we going to do here? All right. So Ron is just going to grab the password and get this set up so that we can show you how to actually set this up on your store. But I will show you just one cool other feature that multi-currency has here for you. So just go back to our home screen here. So we talked about how you can change the currency at any point, right? So I have this Bold coffee mug in, and it's added it in Great British Pounds. Some store owners or some merchants ask, well, what happens if the customer changes it beyond this point? Like, isn't it added in Great British Pounds, and so won't they check out in British Pounds since they're, since they had that selected when they added the product to the cart? Well, the answer to that is that actually what will wind up happening is they'll check out with their final currency. So if they do change their currency in the cart, so maybe they added it in US dollars, but they didn't notice there was a currency picker, or they couldn't be geolocated for some reason, or even they were located in the US but they wanted to pay in Canadian dollars. If they change that at any point before they go to the checkout button, they can check out in whatever that currency is. So that's the answer to that question. So we will just show you how to set this up on the storefront here. Ron has the password just about for us, and then we'll be able to sign in and show you what this looks like on the back end, so you can actually set it up on your store. Okay, so I will sign into Shopify here. Again, this is just a regular Shopify app. So you access it through your Shopify admin just like you normally would. Cool. Thanks, Ron. So
now I gotta change my password.
Now Ron's got to change his password because I'm gonna steal all this stuff. So we'll go to our app section here and we'll load it in the multi-currency app, and I'll show you how this works. Super easy to use, super easy to set up. So the first time you install multi-currency, and you can do this using the green button at the bottom of your screen that says try our free multi-currency app. You'll install this to your store. There is a small code update required, so you'll be prompted to have our team do that automatically for you. It can happen instantly, right? Or it can take 1 to 2 business days for it to happen.
Yeah, the code install is the free service we provide with the multi-currency app install. But yeah, with the volume of requests we get, give us about a day or two to get that.
For sure. So anyways, so that code install happens, and that's what actually adds the currency picker to your store. So you can see we have our currencies set up here on the store. I have Australian dollars, British pounds, Canadian dollars activated, and a whole bunch of other currencies. So we'll kind of walk through the process of adding a currency to your store. So for example, what's a currency that I don't have on here? Look at that, the Swiss franc. I don't think I have that activated.
I don't think so.
Nope, cool. So I can add, again, we have, I think, over 150 currencies listed in this, or the currencies for 150 countries. There's probably fewer currencies than that, but currencies for over 150 countries in the app right now. So I can choose that from the list here, and then I choose what I want to do with that currency. So I can choose to either display it on the storefront, or I can choose to accept it using one of my gateways. Can you explain a little bit more about how this works, Ron?
So with just the multi-currency, you would only have display only. So the display only is exactly that. It displays the converted amount on the storefront. When the customer goes to checkout, they'll pay in the store's currency. With the cashier integration, it opens up some additional options where you can select what payment gateway is going to process that currency. So if customers shopping in Canadian dollars, it can go to a Canadian dollar payment gateway, and end-to-end, customer pays in Canadian, the merchant receives it in Canadian. In this example of customers paying in Swiss francs, that could go to a euro gateway. So the customer is paying in francs, and the merchant gets paid out in euros.
Yeah, so this is definitely a lot to follow. Managing how these currencies interact and what the customer is actually paying and what you're receiving is definitely kind of complicated to get started, but our client success team is really good at helping you plan this stuff out and being able to understand exactly which currencies will be processed and which will be converted and which will be accepted. So we're going to leave this as a display-only currency just for now, and then we'll add it using the Add Currency button. So I will scroll down to the francs here. You guys make a killer hot sauce. So this is the settings page for the Swiss franc. So explain to me a little bit about what we're seeing here, Ron.
So in the exchange rate section, a couple options here. You can use the automatic exchange rates. The automatic exchange rates, they are pretty much real-time rates. They update hourly, so you can just set it and forget it. And as the rates change throughout the day, those rates will automatically be, the converted rates will automatically appear in the store. We'll have an option where you can enable rate padding. And what that is it just marks up that exchange rate by a set percentage or a fixed amount. So you could add an extra 1 or 2%. You can add a flat rate, so adding an extra 50 cents, $1, whatever you choose, to that automatic rate.
For sure. And then, so the reason automatic rates are important, again, if you haven't had the privilege of shopping internationally, and I say that word very sarcastically, exchange rates change all the time. So they can fluctuate anywhere from a few cents, every couple hours to, much more than that, dependent on how the currencies are trading in a particular day. So using automatic rates is definitely our preferred method of doing this. We recommend that every store owner use automatic rates where possible. It just makes sure that as those currencies fluctuate, you're keeping up with the market. But with that said, you can also use your own fixed exchange rates that you update manually. So for example, if I was a Canadian store that sold exclusively to the US, I might identify that I'm taking a bit of a hit on the exchange rates, but want to make sure that the prices are consistent for my US customers. So I want my US customers to consistently see a price that's 15 or 20% lower than whatever my Canadian prices are, since the Canadian price is not at par with the US dollar. And so I can use the fixed exchange rate to make sure those prices are the same from day to day, and then I can update that as I need to and as my business requires. So that's another option here. If you don't want to use the automatic exchange rates, you can do fixed rates as well, and use that dollar amount there. As we mentioned on the front screen, you can change which payment gateway is dealing with this currency, or whether it's only displaying on the storefront. Another cool feature that our app has that I'm not sure if the other currency apps do is this idea of exchange rate rounding. So if I was converting a price, for example, so a lot of stores do this thing called odd even pricing, which is where they'll end off their price with a certain amount. So you see this all the time. It might be a 99-cent price. So, a $100 product is actually $99.99 to convince customers that it doesn't actually cost as much. So what I can do with this exchange rate rounding is I can set a rule. So even if my currency converts to a price that, doesn't look super clean, I could change that to always end in 99 cents, for example. So that's another option here. I could set everything from $0 should end with 99 cents. So that makes sure all my Swiss franc prices look like they're ending in 99 cents. Again, this is super beneficial because it makes it feel like it's more of a personalized experience for those customers. So when customers from Switzerland actually go shopping on my site, they're not going to see all these crazy prices that kind of makes it obvious as there's a currency conversion being used. It looks like they really have a local presence in that country, and allows them to see those prices in a little bit of a cleaner way.
Keeps the prices uniform.
Yeah, for sure. So after all that's done, I can save these rules and then save the settings, and that's pretty much it. It's a very easy app to set up, I think, and there's, like I said, there's a ton of opportunity out there for you to kind of take advantage of international sales and international opportunities. As I mentioned, there's a world of opportunity out there. The last feature I think I want to talk about is this country-specific default. Now, tell me a little bit more about this, Ron.
So the country-specific default is setting a currency for a specific country that a visitor is coming from. With the Eurozone, all the countries there, anyone coming from Germany, Spain, Ireland, Italy, they would automatically be shown a euro pricing for those countries. So you wouldn't have to set up specific defaults for that. Any of the other countries, if someone's coming from the US, they would automatically see US dollars, things like that. A country default is if there's someone coming from another country that you may have back that up. If the geolocation can't find what country that customer, if you don't have a currency set for that customer, they'll use the store's default pricing. So let's say for a merchant in Australia, if there's someone coming from New Zealand, but you don't have the New Zealand dollar currency, they'll automatically be shown Australian dollars as the store's default currency. The country default here is that you can actually set a currency to be used for a visitor from another country.
Yeah, for sure. So to kind of expand on that and hopefully simplify it a little, the country-specific default is kind of an advanced feature, but we put it in for the real power users of the app that do a lot of international sales. So if my store is based in Spain, for example, and I sell all over the world, there are, like we said, over 150 different countries that have their currencies listed in these apps, and it's possible that I don't want to accept every specific country's currency. So I might not want to accept Canadian dollars and Mexican pesos for all my North American visitors. So what I could do is I could set a default currency for Canada to be US dollars. So it will come to, so when a Canadian shopper visits my Spanish site, they'll see prices in US dollars, and they'll actually get processed in US dollars as well. And so I'm not trying to deal with 80 different currencies that might be coming in all at once. I still have kind of an international option, so Canadian customers who are familiar with the U.S. currency can still check out in that currency, but I'm not having to deal with the logistics of having 80 different bank accounts to manage all these different currencies that are coming into my store. So that's what the currency or the country-specific default does, I should say. Again, kind of a power feature, but another option. We tried to make this app as flexible as we possibly could for store owners. So we think that the country-specific default will really help out there. So that's kind of all there is about the app. Like I said, selling internationally, particularly over Black Friday, is super important. There are a ton of opportunities. We mentioned those lifts in sales. Canada saw a 4.4 times increase in their daily orders. Denmark 6 times increase. Spain 7.8 times increase what they were normally buying on Shopify. So even though it's kind of the most popular, or it's as a holiday or as a shopping holiday, it's most popular in the U.S., there are still a ton of opportunity out there for currencies for shoppers from other countries. So making sure that we're accommodating to them and kind of being able to offer them a local presence, even though we might be located a world away, is really, really important. So with that said, I think we're just about done here. We'll take a look for questions in the chat section. Ron, do you have anything to add before we sign off here? Nope. Okay. Nope. Well,
happy selling.
Happy selling. So we'll just kind of sign off here. So our Black Friday University series continues right up until the weekend of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We're just over 3 weeks away. Like, it's really, really close to Black Friday. So keep tuning in. I'll shoot you guys an email with a recap of the content of this webinar. We'll also have a blog post going up either today or tomorrow with just kind of a guide on how to set up multi-currency on your store. And then I think our next webinar is on Monday on a great returns policy. So Ron, I'm sure you know this, but returns is obviously a hot button issue around Black Friday. There are tons of customers making sales from places they wouldn't normally. And so returns policy can be a great part of your marketing. And we're going to talk about how to kind of handle some of the logistics of returns, how to deal with managing those returns once they actually get to your warehouse, what goes into a good returns policy, and I think we're going to be having either Ron or someone from our client success team join us for that as well, to show you how you can use returns as kind of one of your most powerful marketing tools on Black Friday. So with that said, happy selling. Any questions, feel free to post them as comments on that blog post or reply to the email that I'll send you guys later today with a recap of this session. And from there, I think we're good to go. So we'll see you. Next webinar is on Monday. The date is whatever Monday's date is, 3, 4, 5, 6, Monday, November 6th at same bat time, same bat place, 1 p.m. We'll be talking about returns policies, how they can help your store on Black Friday. Ron, it's been a slice. Talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.